Let's talk about credentials a little bit. It just so happens that I do all the credentialing at the events that I do as well, which it seems like security and credentialing kind of go hand in hand, but that's not always the case. I think it works really well because events that I've worked at that they don't, the people are not the same person or they're not related. It can cause some problems. Like at Bonnaroo, the people that do credentialing they don't talk enough to the security people, and that's a much younger event too, and the people doing it are not as experienced, but they've like run out of credentials, and obviously if you have a credential system and you run out of credentials, it kind of, might as well scrap the whole thing. So issues like that, and again, that's something that you learn with experience, how to figure out what you need and how to do it. So the things that I do, for instance, got a sample board here, Jazz Fest. Something like a festival where you have, first of all, you got multiple days, then you've got multiple stages, and then on any given stage you've got different artists every day. So you have to figure out a way to control what's going on so that you don't end up with too many people backstage, the wrong people backstage. And again, if you have a situation where an artist has had problems with fans, and you've got other artists there, then you have to sometimes get everybody out of one area before the next artist, sort of takes over, that sort of thing. So this is a kind of a complicated system, just because of the fact there's so many stages and so many days and whatnot. But I've actually, okay, actually brought some paper. That'll work. Okay, so it really starts out with you've got a core staff of people that are there every day, all the time, and that need to be able to do anything, anywhere on the site. So we use hard laminates for those people, and we even have different levels of that. So this one, for instance, is sort of an all-access. So anybody who has this pass can do anything at the festival. They can go to any stage, they can go to any of the areas. And then there's another one below that that is the next level where they can go everywhere except actually on the stages. So people that get this pass, it goes from, say, executives, for instance, producers, and then people that are actually working on the stage. So sound people, lighting people, people that maybe are paying musicians, the people that actually work on the stage. And then this one would be other music staff that maybe they're doing artist catering, that sort of thing. They don't need to actually go on the stage, but they're going to be backstage and in dressing rooms and that sort of thing. And then there's one below that, which is for other general staff, support staff like construction people, that they probably don't need to go on stage or even backstage. Maybe people that have been working that maybe they're not even working on event days, but they're sort of on call, that sort of thing, just basic staff. And they can't go backstage anywhere. So, and then there's other things for guest type people. We have sponsored laminates, and we make those good for one weekend or another, so that you can give them. Generally, those kind of people are not there for the entire festival. So that pass is good for one weekend or another, and it's good for guest type areas. They can't go backstage, they can't go in dressing rooms, so it keeps them out of the work areas. And then we happen to have a board of directors, so they have a pass and they have certain areas where they can go. So that might be a you might have guests or something. You want to keep them out of the backstage area, but you want to give them some kind of special privileges. And then, because we have multiple days, we have, these are those satin stick-on passes that you typically see, usually at one-time events and that sort of thing too. And there's a different color for every day. And so you start out and you say, okay, well, today's color is yellow. So all the passes for that day is yellow. So that kind of makes it easy for security. Starting out, if they see a pass and it's not yellow, well, then they know right off the bat that, the person coming at them shouldn't be where they're trying to go. And again, there's different levels of passes. There's guest passes, and again, there's guest areas where guests can go, and that keeps them out of the dressing room areas. And then you've got artist passes, so that the artists can go on the stage or in the dressing rooms. And then we have different ones for different stages, because we have 3 really big stages, and we don't want the guest from the blues stage going to the guest area, maybe at the big Acura stage, something like that. So it starts getting kind of complicated. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of these passes to deal with. I think the guest pass, which is good for all the guest areas, I think I get about 2,000 of those a day. So that's a lot of people walking around.
And they change, like, that was just 2006.
Right, this was 2006. This is the same thing. So what I do from year to year is I look at my shapes and I look at my colors, and I change them from year to year, because believe it or not, it's actually kind of funny sometimes what the links that people will go to duplicate passes or counterfeit passes. And something like Jazz Fest, which is an annual event, they'll actually come back the following year and try to use their passes from the year before. I've had people counterfeit laminates. I've had people try to counterfeit stick-on passes. Essence seems to be my worst nightmare. Every year we have people that, a couple years ago, we had a vendor pass that was a paper tag, and it was good for all 3 nights of the event. And I had even had a foil sticker put on it, and we had people showing up at the back door with these passes, a bunch of these passes, and we quickly figured out that, and they had done a pretty good job at duplicating this pass. The foil sticker, they had gotten some foil paper and printed on it, and that's how we figured it out. Luckily, my security guards were paying attention, and you could easily see once you realized it that it was a counterfeit, but somebody had duplicated them and was selling them for like $75 a piece, all over town. We finally got a couple of women, and of course these people were really upset when they got there and found, we didn't let them in, and found out that they were counterfeit, and we had plainclothes policemen that were out around the Superdome and finding them all over the place. And of course these people, they didn't know where they could use the pass, because they didn't really know, what it was good for. They were just told that they could get in to Essence all 3 nights. So I think we ended up with a stack of about 150 that we caught. And then the word quickly got out on the street from these people that we were on to them. They even made some modifications in it to try to make it a little bit better. So the next night we had some more, and they had changed it up just a little bit. One of the things that I had done on that pass was there was a hole in the top of it to put a lanyard or a string or something like that, and it had a grommet in it. And that was a really easy way to tell right off the bat if it was counterfeit, because the initial ones didn't have the metal grommet in it. And the second night they came back and they had figured out how to put a metal, it wasn't a very good one, but they had figured out how to do a little metal piece on there that, to make it a little bit better. So it was pretty funny. So anyway, let's see. I've got a catalog here from the credential company that I deal with, and oddly enough, there's really only a few of these types of companies, and all they do is make passes. They do design work, they do printing, they do like posters and stuff like that, but it's kind of interesting. They carry the supplies that you need, like the plastic laminating stuff. A lot of times sometimes I make my own passes if they don't have to be too elaborate, and so I just buy all the stuff to actually make them into a hard laminate. But they've got in here all the different types of shapes and whatnot. There's all kinds of foils that you can get. I have a whole book with paper foil samples in it. You can even put foil on the actual plastic pouch that you put it in and laminate it. So they're doing pretty elaborate things to try to keep people from counterfeiting this stuff. Obviously, if you have a big tour, like a Rolling Stones tour or something like that, you have to keep it as secure as possible, you've got to make sure that people can't just you know, easily duplicate this stuff. And like I say, I mean, people, something like that, people might be going from town to town, and they get hold of a pass in one town, and then they duplicate it to try to use it for the next tour stop.